Hey everyone, and welcome to this new Genshin Impact video. Today we're gonna talk about one of the most important topics on Genshin Impact, which is the elemental reaction. Well, understanding to this topic will make your damage output way higher, as we seen in the intro of this video. This elemental reaction can really give you a huge boost to your DPS, and your progress in the game will be a lot smoother, and you will know how to build your team because you know what every reaction can do, and you will know what's the best for your characters or the main that you are using. So let's start with general information about elemental reaction. The elemental reaction happen when two different elements contact with each other. The first element, called aura element, which is the element that apply on the target. So this element not necessary to be by someone attack. It can be from weather, something like rain, or maybe you stand over water or something like that, or can or even there is some creatures, some monsters like slimes have their own element supply on them always. So any elemental attack on those slimes will always trigger elemental reaction. As we see in the screen, there is 7 elements and 9 reactions. We're gonna explain each one of them separately, except the dendro, since it's not added to the game, so we're not gonna cover that for now. uh, on this video we will focus about overload only, and we will try to cover everything about overload with actual tests without depending on any resource other than this video. So let's get started. The overload is one of transformative reaction that happen when electro react with fire or opposite. This reaction creates fire AoE explosion near the target, which knock down all the nearby enemies. So this damage is fixed, so it doesn't affect by your attack or your crit, as long as you have the same elemental mastery, the same gear, the same level. Your overload damage will be always the same. Now we see in the screen one of the website that explain how to calculate the overload damage and shows the base damage on each level, but we're gonna test that by ourselves and see if we will get the same damage result or not, because I'm not fully agree with this formula, guys, because it just say the the overload damage depending on the level and elemental mastery, but that's not really true, because as we see here, there is some gears that give overload damage bonus, so we have to include that on our calculation as well, because something like 40% will affect a lot on the final damage result. And if I wasn't mistaken, there is even 3-star weapons give overload damage bonus and other reaction bonus. So we have to keep that in mind when we calculate the overload damage. So the formula will be like this, as you see in the screen. This is the final formula that we're gonna use in our calculation. So let's start in the real test for overload calculation, guys. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do, making our elemental mastery 0, so we can calculate the base damage of overload. Then after that we will apply this base damage on our formula that we gonna use to calculate the final overload damage, and we see if this result match the numbers that we're getting from hitting enemies or not. So let's start on making the elemental mastery 0. Okay, let's remove. Remove. Remove this. Remove this. One thing I forgot to say, the pyro damage doesn't increase the overload damage, even though the overload damage count as fire damage. So for example, if you hit pyro slime with overload attack, they will get no damage at all. They will basically immune that damage. So that's thing we have to consider, and I forgot to explain that early. Okay, no elemental mastery here. When we see at attribute, the elemental mastery is 0, the overload multiply is 0, and my artifact, there is no set bonus to increase anything. So the result that I will get right now will be the final result. We will try to hit multiple enemies, and we will see how much is the base damage for level 90. Sorry, I can't get the number of each level since I don't have enough resources for that. But I will just cover the end game content, which is level 90, and you will have general idea about overload by that time. So let's go. Okay, after multiple testing, guys, we found out that the base damage of overload is 2165. We tried on multiple enemies and the value always the same. I don't know how the people in fandom, wiki, whatever, it's actually most of the community using different numbers. I don't know how they calculate it, but we kind of can confirm this number. Now what we're gonna do is apply this number in our equation and find the final DPS output. So we said 2165 multiplied by, let's check the gear. Let's put our gear back. Equip. And this one. And this one. Okay, we have 40% of the set bonus. And let's check the total attribute. 62.3 plus 40, that's 102.3. Okay, so it's gonna be like this. Multiply 2.023. It should be like this, and equal. So 4,380, almost 4,380. That's the number that we're supposed to get once we equip the whole gear. Now let's find out if this number is true or not, guys. Okay.
Can you hear my voice? Coming through the noise. I'm floating through outer space. I'm lost and I can't find
Okay, so the conclusion after all that test, that the overload damage can work well from early to mid game, but once you reach the end game content, especially if you are free to play player, you will have limitation in your DPS and you won't be able to pull out a high damage output from rely on overload. So that was everything about overload, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any question, leave it down in the comments below, or you can send me message in my Discord, the link down in the description. Thanks very much. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video with your friends. See you in the next video, guys. Peace.